Hello, Namaste and welcome you all. In our last lecture, we have taken third problem on marginal costing technique. Now today in this lecture, we are going to take problem number 4 on marginal costing technique. So let's start. In our problem, the sales units and the position of profit and loss of last two periods is given. In period 1, sales units are 7,000 and there was a loss of rupees 10,000. Then in period 2, number of sales units were 9,000 and there was a profit of rupees 10,000. Then the per unit selling price or selling price per unit means selling price of a single unit was rupees 100. And by using this data, we are asked to calculate fixed cost, BP sales in rupees and number of units to be sold to earn profit of rupees 40,000. Then lastly we are asked to calculate the amount of profit when sales are 20,000 units. Means what will be the amount of profit when company sells 20,000 units. So let's start. First of all, we are asked to calculate fixed cost. How to calculate fixed cost? As we know, here loss is given. So fixed cost is equal to contribution plus loss is equal to fixed cost. That's why we have to first find out the amount of contribution. And how to calculate the amount of contribution? By using PV ratio. Sales is given. Sales into PV ratio is equal to contribution. In that way we will get the amount of contribution and we will add the amount of loss in contribution, then we will get the amount of fixed cost. As we know, fixed cost is equal to contribution plus loss. So we have loss amount, we have to find out the amount of contribution. So to find out the amount of contribution, as by using PV ratio we can find out the amount of contribution, because PV ratio means contribution to sales ratio or contribution ratio. So sales into PV ratio is equal to contribution. In that way we can get the amount of contribution and we can utilize the same to calculate our fixed cost. So let's start. First of all, to find out contribution, what we will have to calculate? We will have to calculate PV ratio first. So let's start with PV ratio. How to calculate the PV ratio? Here the position of profit and position of sales is given of 2 years. So which formula of PV ratio we can use? Change in profit upon change in sales into 100. That formula we are going to use now. Change in profit upon change in sales into 100. So change in profit. How much is the change in profit? Now we are going to discuss. In first year, in period 1, there were loss of rupees 10,000. Loss means negative figure or negative profit. So to recover this loss, we must have profit rupees 10,000. So if we add profit of rupees 10,000, positive figure profit, then what will be the position? Position will be nil or 0. No profit, no loss. Means to recover our previous 10,000 loss, 10,000 profit is required. But in period 2 it is showing 10,000 profit. How it will show? Add 10,000 profit. Now it will show 10,000 profit. Means how much is the actually profit? 10,000 profit which is utilized to recover 10,000 loss, and this is surplus profit. Means this 10,000 profit and this 10,000 profit, total profit was 20,000. How? You can see the previous position was 10,000 loss. If you add amount rupees 20,000 of profit, then what is the position? 10,000 minus plus 20,000 positive, that is profit. So positive figure will remain, that is profit. That thing is showing in this table. Means actually to recover our loss we require 10,000 profit and surplus profit is 10,000. Means 10,000 which is utilized to recover loss rupees 10,000 and surplus profit rupees 10,000. 10,000 profit which is utilized to recover loss. Then surplus profit rupees 10,000. So 10,000 profit which is utilized to recover loss and 10,000 profit surplus profit. So 10,000 plus 10,000 total 20,000 profit company has earned in period 2. You can see here in period 1 there were loss of rupees 10,000. To recover loss we require 10,000 profit, then it will 0. Then to show 10,000 profit another 10,000 profit will require. In that way 10,000 plus 10,000 total 20,000 profit company has earned in period 2nd. So here it shows 10,000 profit is instead of 20,000 profit. Why it happens? Because out of 20,000, out of profit rupees 20,000, 10,000 profit is utilized to recover previous loss. That's why instead of showing 20,000 profit, it shows 10,000 profit. But the actually profit of period 2nd is 20,000. Okay. How much is the amount of profit of period 2nd? 20,000. Why? Because out of rupees 20,000 total profit, 10,000 is utilized to recover our previous year loss. So here period 2nd profit is 20,000. So how much is the change in profit? So profit is changed or increased by rupees 20,000. And what is the position of sales? Position of sales, first year number of units 7,000, selling price per unit 100. So sales for period 1 7,000 units into per unit selling price rupees 100. So 7,000 into 100 is equal to 7 lakh is the amount of sales. 7 lakh is the amount of sales of period 1. Now sales of period 2nd. Number of units sold 9,000. So 9,000 units into per unit selling price 100 rupees 100. So sales are 9 lakh. So in period 1 sales are 7 lakh. In period 2nd sales are 9 lakh. It is increased from 7 lakh to 9 lakh. So it is increased by 2 lakh. 7 lakh, 9 lakh. It is increased by 2 lakh. So sales is increased by 2 lakh. So change in sales is 2 lakh. And change in profit is 20,000. As we have discussed, change in profit is 20,000 and change in sales is 2 lakh. How? First year sales 7 lakh. Second year sales 9 lakh. It is increased or changed by 2 lakh. That's why we have taken change in sales 2 lakh into 100. So change in profit 20,000 upon change in sales 2 lakh into 100 is equal to 10%. You can see 20,000 is a 10% of 2 lakh. That's why the PV ratio is equal to 10%. PV ratio is 10%. Now we have calculated PV ratio. Now what we want to calculate? The amount of contribution. By utilizing PV ratio, we can easily find out the amount of contribution. So PV ratio means profit volume ratio or contribution to sales ratio. So sales into PV ratio is equal to contribution. So how to calculate the contribution? Contribution is equal to sales into PV ratio. So sales of period 1 is 7 lakh. That's why we are taking 7 lakh into PV ratio, which is 10%. So 10% of 7 lakh is 70,000. So 70,000 is the amount of contribution for period 1. Contribution is 70,000. Now period 1 loss amount is given. Loss is 10,000. So fixed cost is equal to contribution plus loss is equal to fixed cost. So for period 1 we have 70,000 contribution plus period 1 loss 10,000. 70,000 contribution plus loss 10,000. 70,000 plus 10,000 loss is equal to fixed cost. In that way we can calculate the amount of fixed cost. So let's calculate fixed cost. Fixed cost is equal to contribution plus loss. So here contribution is 70,000 plus loss, which is 10,000. So 70,000 plus 10,000 is equal to 80,000 is the amount of fixed cost. Fixed cost is 80,000. So we have calculated the first item, fixed cost. Now we are going to calculate second, BEP sales. How to calculate the BEP sales? We have the amount of fixed cost and we have PV ratio also. We are going to utilize the amount of fixed cost as the amount of contribution at BEP level. So amount of contribution at BEP level, that is the amount of fixed cost. If we divide the same by the PV ratio or contribution, then we will get the amount of sales at BEP level. In that way we can calculate the break-even point or BEP sales, as we have discussed while discussing the BEP sales or formulas available to calculate BEP sales. So let's start calculating our second item, that is BEP sales. BEP sales in rupees. What is the formula? Formula is fixed cost as a amount of contribution at BEP level. Fixed cost upon PV ratio. So how much is the fixed cost? As we have calculated, fixed cost is 80,000. So 80,000 divided by 10%. So 80,000 is the 10% of 8 lakh. So 8 lakh will be the amount of BEP sales. How you can see 80,000 divided by 10 upon 100. So 80,000 upon 10 into 100. So resulting amount is 8 lakh. So 8 lakh is the amount of BEP rupees. So in that way we have calculated the second item also, that is BEP sales. Now we are going to calculate the number of units to be sold to earn profit rupees 40,000. Means if company wants to earn profit rupees 40,000, then how many units, number of units are asked. How many units company will have to sell to earn profit rupees 40,000? How many units company will have to sell? That we will have to calculate now. So which formula we will have to utilize? Sales for desired profit. That formula we will have to use. So sales for desired profit is equal to sales in units. Here sales in units. The formula is fixed cost plus desired profit upon what? Per unit contribution. We are calculating sales in units for desired profit. So formula is fixed cost plus desired profit upon per unit contribution. So here we have amount of fixed cost which is 80,000. We have desired profit which is 40,000, but we are not having the amount of per unit contribution. So let's start the amount calculating amount of per unit contribution. So how to calculate the per unit contribution? At the time of discussing formulas available to calculate contribution, we had discussed how to calculate the per unit contribution. We have per unit selling price and we have PV ratio. So per unit selling price into PV ratio is equal to per unit contribution. So per unit selling price into PV ratio. Our per unit selling price is rupees 100 as given in the problem into PV ratio as we have calculated, which is 10%. So 100 into 10% is equal to 10 is the amount of per unit contribution. So per unit contribution is now 10. Now which we can utilize in this formula. Okay. So sales in units, sales for desired profit in units is equal to fixed cost, sales for desired profit, sales in units for desired profit is equal to fixed cost fixed cost plus desired profit upon per unit contribution. So fixed cost, which is 80,000 as we have calculated, plus desired profit is 40,000 divided by per unit contribution, which is rupees 10. So 80,000 plus 40,000 is equal to 1,20,000 divided by per unit contribution, which is 10. So 1,20,000 divided by 10 is equal to 12,000 is the number of units. So number of units required to be sold is 12,000 units to earn profit rupees 40,000. So in that way we have calculated the third item also, the number of units to be sold to earn profit rupees 40,000. Means if company wants to earn profit rupees 40,000, how many units company will have to sell? Company will have to sell 12,000 units. When company sell 12,000 units, then company will earn 40,000 profit. So now we are going to calculate last item, that is profit when sales are 20,000 units. Means what will be the amount of profit when company sells 20,000 units? 20,000 units. So number of units sold 20,000. Per unit selling price 100. So 20,000 units into per unit selling price 100. So 20,000 into 100, 20 lakh will be the amount of sales. So whenever company sales are 20 lakh, what will be the amount of profit we are going to calculate? So we have the amount of sales which is 20 lakh into PV ratio 10% is equal to 2 lakh will be the amount of contribution. So contribution 2 lakh less fixed cost 80,000, 1 lakh 20,000 will be the amount of profit. How? Now we are going to discuss. So last item, the amount of profit when sales are 20,000 units. What will be the amount of profit when sales are 20,000 units? So last item, profit when sales are 20,000 units. So whenever company sells 20,000 units, then what will be the amount of sales is equal to number of units sold into per unit selling price. So number of units sold 20,000 into per unit selling price 100. So 20,000 into 100 is equal to 20 lakh. 20 lakh is the amount of sales. So what will be the amount of profit when company's sales is 20 lakh? So we have calculated sales. Now we have to calculate contribution. As we know, contribution includes two items, fixed cost and profit. When we deduct the amount of fixed cost from the amount of contribution, then what will remain? Profit will remain. In that way we can calculate the amount of profit. So we have to calculate here now contribution is equal to sales into PV ratio. So sales 20 lakh into PV ratio 10%. So contribution amount is 2 lakh. 10% of 20 lakh is 2 lakh. So amount of contribution is 2 lakh. So we have amount of contribution. So contribution is sum of fixed cost and profit. So that contribution is 2 lakh. If we deduct the amount of fixed cost, then profit will remain. So profit is equal to contribution less fixed cost. Here contribution is 2 lakh less fixed cost which is 80,000. So 2 lakh less 80,000 is equal to 1 lakh 20,000 is the amount of profit. Means whenever company sells 20,000 units, then sales will be 20 lakh, then contribution will be 10% of it, that is contribution will be 2 lakh, and if we deduct the amount of fixed cost from the amount of contribution, then we will get the amount of profit which is rupees 1,20,000. Means whenever company sells 20,000 units, what will be the amount of profit? Amount of profit will be 1,20,000. In that way we have calculated all the items. I hope all of you understood it. Thank you.